Now we'd like to hear from Greg Travis, who is a aviation software expert, and he is one of the 6 experts that filed a friend of the court brief in the present case to give some more details on why this is important for safety for airline passengers in particular. Greg?
Thank you, Paul. I have been a software developer since 1977. I've been a pilot and an aircraft owner since 1989. I've written extensively about aircraft and aircraft systems over the years. I'm here because of an article I wrote in the March 2019 issue of IEEE Spectrum entitled, "How the Boeing 737 MAX Disaster Looks to a Software Developer." Because of that article, Ralph Nader reached out to me and asked me for my help. Ralph put me in touch with FlyersRights, and the rest is history. I'd heard rumors that the MCAS system used only a single angle of attack sensor. Before the second crash, had dismissed them as utterly improbable. When it sank in that it was indeed the case, I still could not believe it. My 5 colleagues are aviation, aerodynamics, and safety experts with impeccable credentials. It is imperative in the public's interest that experts such as us be able to independently verify the safety of the 737 MAX. Though we see things through different lenses, we have all converged on core questions regarding the purpose and nature of Boeing's MCAS system. For example, is MCAS necessary for the 737 MAX to meet the aircraft certification requirements of the federal aviation regulations? The FAA will not answer this question. If the answer is no, then why not remove it altogether instead of trying to, quote, fix the fix over and over and over again? The FAA will not answer that question. If the answer is yes, that is required for certification, then as an aircraft with a disabled MCAS, which will be more and more likely now that MCAS knows to disable itself, no longer airworthy. Does a disabled MCAS constitute an in-flight emergency requiring a landing as soon as practically possible? The FAA will not answer that question. And finally, what are the consequences of an MCAS failure given multiple system failures, such as an engine failure at night over water? The FAA will not answer that question. These are just some examples of the type of questions that we seek. Our questions are not unreasonable. Our expertise is not questioned, and we certainly do not ask that they divulge any trade or competitive secrets. The FAA's refusal to satisfactorily answer basic questions about airworthiness and safety casts a cloud of suspicion over what they know and when did they know it. We ostensibly have a regulatory structure that is supposed to provide the necessary oversight, to provide checks and balances to the manufacturer's natural tendency to increase profits by increasing the fragility of what they make. But the FAA, under pressure from Congress and the industry's lobbyists, took their regulatory role and outsourced it to the very industry they were supposed to regulate. The FAA handed its regulatory role to the company on the historically indefensible notion that this time, the fox would do a good job of guarding the henhouse. History is tragedy. It is the unfolding of immutable chain of events made inevitable by causes and their effects. 2 decades ago, the FAA told Boeing they had carte blanche to do anything they wanted, including lying to the FAA. The FAA was derelict in its oversight responsibilities. 4 years ago, that dereliction of duty took the lives of 346 innocent people. Lives that could have been saved by just 8 simple lines of computer code if the FAA had done its job. There is no indication that anyone has learned anything from this. Neither Boeing nor the FAA has moved towards greater transparency, as we learned today and over and over and over again, despite lying for years, as Paul alluded to, that they would. The malfunctioning regulatory structures that allow a manufacturer to regulate its own products are still in place. The Boeing board of directors, who are directly responsible for the tragedies, are still in place. The revolving door culture of government industry cronyism that puts profits over people's lives is still in place. No different than 4 years ago, the FAA continues every effort possible to conceal and to stonewall any attempt by the public and its representatives to make an independent assessment of the safety of Boeing's airplanes. It will not be transparent, it tells us, because it doesn't have to be transparent. If things had changed, if lessons had been learned, if we were in a better place than we were 4 years ago, none of us would need to be in this room today. But all of the conditions that created the chain of events that ended in tragedy are still fully in place. The information from Boeing and the FAA simply leaves too many open questions about the safety of MCAS and the 737 MAX. Those who ignore history are doomed to repeat it. After 4 years, not one damn thing has changed. And unless we are successful here, the tragedies will continue to mount. Thank you.